Welcome to episode 13 of the radio podcast. We have Amrika here and Simran and Rhea. Hey guys.
Hello.
Wait. Simran?
Yeah.
Rhea?
Mm-hmm.
Finally, I've got the two of you. Identical twins. Amazing. You guys just hang out and study, okay? It looks like you've got flashcards out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Don't mind us. So, Amrika.
Yes.
How's it going?
Pretty good. Busy.
Busy?
Yeah.
For this podcast, we interviewed my student teacher and Miss Schalk's student teacher. Miss Schalk was there as well. Mr. Cotter. Do you know Mr. Cotter?
I know. Yeah, but I don't know him. I just know, hey, that's Mr. Kung's teacher.
Yes, he was my substitute teacher for about a month. It was the best time. It was the best time because I sat in the staff room and did marking, got to do some extra planning. So it was time well used. Thank you, Mr. Cotter. So have you ever had a student teacher?
In elementary school, there were student teachers, but there was some. They didn't really do anything. They just kind of sat there in the corner, just looked at us.
Oh, maybe that was just the observation part of it.
Maybe.
Yeah.
They didn't do anything really. They just handed out papers and sat there.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are you doing for the holidays?
Probably multiple Christmas parties, hanging out with some friends, and sleeping. Hoping I'm sleeping a lot this winter break.
That's actually my plan is sleeping, Netflix,
yes,
and eating lots because this is the season for eating.
Yes, hibernation
and snowboarding. I'll be snowboarding. With my
never
son.
been before.
Oh, really? You have to try it.
Yeah.
Have you skied before?
Nope.
Okay. So, go try it.
Yeah, I totally will.
I'm excited about the Star Wars movie.
Ooh. I've actually never watched Star Wars.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, don't worry. The people keep coming on this podcast and say they've never watched Star Wars, so you're not the first one.
Yeah.
What's happening with student council stuff coming up? I know tomorrow's the last day before the break.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas. And then after that, I guess you guys are rehearsing today, right?
Yes, we changed it to tomorrow.
No, but you're rehearsing for the assembly tomorrow.
Yes.
Today.
Tomorrow.
But tomorrow's the assembly.
I know.
When are you rehearsing it?
Tomorrow at lunch and C block. It's right before.
Oh wow.
Yes.
Now I'm really nervous.
It's okay. We can wing it.
No,
a little.
We don't wing. So, what do you have to report?
So, next year, when we come back from school after winter break, in January there'll be a bottle drive for the grads. In February and March, there will be the We Are Love Festival and Rent a Grad, so you can pick any grad and rent them. There'll also be, in February, there'll be chocolate heart grams sold by Me to We to give to your crush or any anonymous person. There will also be more Spirit Weeks, for sure, Spirit Days. There'll be Slip and Slide in June. At the end of the year, there'll be some fun activities at lunchtime, along with the Spirit Weeks. And the grads will finish it off with the grad banquet, grad red carpet, and the grad commencement.
You've summarized the entire year.
Yes. We have no specific dates yet.
Okay.
They're upcoming.
So we'll figure out the dates as we go along.
Yeah.
All right. How are things going for you this year?
Pretty good.
I keep thinking that you're in grade 12 because, I don't know, it seems like, for some reason, you've been here forever.
Yeah, because I would hang out, at the school, even when I wasn't here, in grade 7, because Gino was here.
Maybe that's why.
I'd always just be sitting in the foyer.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Amrika.
Thank you, Mr. Khan.
Thanks, Rhea and Simran, for being so kind and quiet. All right, take care.
Okay, thank you.
Merry Christmas. High five.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go. I
Okay.
gave you an out.
John, you ready?
I think we're almost ready.
You're almost ready.
No, I think we're ready.
Am I allowed to laugh, John? Because my laugh goes higher. Is that okay?
Why don't you try a laugh?
No, I just can't do it. I have to like be in the moment.
This is the moment. Okay, make her laugh.
Hey.
No, it's okay. I'll just do my thing. It's fine.
You'll do your thing. Are you gonna plug Forte throughout this podcast?
No, I can't do that. You can bring it up.
Forte.
No. John, if you want to bring it up, feel free.
What, Forte?
Yes.
Physiotherapy?
Yes.
That's hard to say. Forte.
Forte physio.
Forte is easy to say. Physiotherapy.
Yeah, but you say Forte physio.
Forte physio.
Yeah. Forte physio. Forte physio. Forte physiotherapy is a little bit
You said you weren't
difficult.
going to plug.
No, you're asking me how to say it. Anyways.
Okay.
Moving on, Mr. Kang.
Moving on.
I'm only here because you're my friend. You're my friend, right?
I'm assuming, since you said that already, then I'm going to have to go with that.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Shagan Davari, please come to the office. Shagan Davari to the office.
Is that happening in here?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to have to turn that off.
I was going to say, does that happen often in the podcast?
That? No, because we usually turn it off. Sometimes we forget.
I didn't know you could do that.
Well, now you know.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Justin Cotter,
Hello.
how are you?
I'm doing wonderfully. Thank you for having me.
And Nadia Schalk.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm
We're gathered today to talk to our student teacher and really find out the type of person he is.
Live from the Forte Physio mic studio of the radio podcast.
That might be
Forte
good.
Physio.
Yes.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Okay.
Since we're looking to create an actual studio sponsorship.
I don't know.
I've already mentioned Forte like 10 times.
Yes, thank you. I don't know if we're allowed to do that.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
But let's make it possible.
Hey, I will help you out, Mr. Kang. I will. I'll do it for you.
Anyways, not to take attention off of Forte Physio, but Justin's here. Justin, you just got hired.
I did. I got hired in Delta and in Surrey.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And which district do you prefer?
Of course, I prefer whatever district values my services. But, I mean, I will say that Surrey hired me on the spot, and Delta made me wait an hour before they called me to hire me. So
See, we have to make sure our teachers are good before they get hired.
yeah, they had to think on that one, I guess, like grab a meal or something. But
Yeah. Well, that's great.
We're excited.
So, I mean, we had you here for a while, and it's been quite a ride.
it has been.
And like last year when you were here, like talk about maybe the first few days of being here. What was that like? Because I'm kind of fuzzy on my first days of student teaching. What was it like for you?
My first few days were a roller coaster. I had just gotten surgery on my shoulder, and it was only 3 days post-op that I had to come in at 8 o'clock in the morning, just taking my painkillers, and I could barely wake up. I was so tired, and I had to meet Morgan, the principal, and I honestly don't think I remember a word she said. And so that was like just not a good way to start off my experience here. But over the next couple of days, it was kind of making that transition from thinking like a student to thinking like a teacher.
Uh-huh.
And because, I mean, I went to Douglas College for 4 years, and it's really just a big high school. Like you get very like a high quality education, but it's a big high school. Like I felt like I was going to school in the States or something, right? With like one of those huge like 4,000, 5,000 people high schools. And so trying to kind of switch my mentality around and look at it from a teacher's perspective, and just I think it was really, really crazy talking to all these teachers and seeing all this stuff kind of behind the scenes that you don't see as a student. And
Isn't that weird though? Because I remember when I first walked into school, like all the high school memories came back first of all.
yeah,
And then you get to see kind of behind the scenes of things that you don't necessarily get to see when you were a student.
when you're a student, everything is just happening to you, right? You don't have a lot of ownership over what's happening, and then to see that there's actually teachers who are kind of thinking about what they're doing, and it doesn't just happen, in the moment. That it takes foresight, and that was the coolest thing was getting to talk to so many teachers and getting to see their classrooms and just getting to unpack a bit of their thoughts around, there's all these different teaching styles and everyone has their own personality that they bring into their room, and getting to get a taste of every single classroom was really, really cool.
Mm-hmm. And the nerves of the first class you taught.
Yeah, because you were away.
Was I?
Yeah, the very first class I was going to teach was I was going to introduce electricity with the grade 9s.
Oh, okay.
And you had a meeting because you're some sort of bigwig, right? And so...
no, I just have a lot of meetings.
And so Miss Kyle was going to come in and watch the class.
Oh, wow. And
I was like super nervous. I taught in lots of lessons because through Douglas you do a lot of field work and you get to practice a lot. But that was all like 10-minute warm-ups and individual lessons within a unit. And this was really the start of me kind of taking something of my own. And I don't know what I was thinking, but so I'm standing up there in the class and I have this whole lesson that I prepared and the kids are all looking at me, and so I thought it'd be really funny, we'll turn off the lights and be like, what would life be like without electricity? Right? Not cheesy at all, right? And so Morgan's sitting in the corner, and for some reason, I thought it would be like just a good idea to sit on the desk, sit on the teacher's desk at the front of the classroom. I don't know, I guess it's something you see in movies, and
it doesn't happen.
I do that quite a lot.
Okay.
I do.
But I think as a young new teacher, it might not be the best look. Because I was just like, I have a very easygoing personality in general, so I'm a bit more laid back, and so I was just like sitting on the desk, we're like talking about electricity and stuff like that, and the lesson, it went okay, like it was obviously a first experience, but then I get that feedback at the end, like, where was your passion? where was your interest in the topic? Like you were just sitting on the desk, like I thought you would be more excited for your first day and all that. And so that was like really intimidating, and it was almost a bit of a wake up call, right? It was like you're either gonna do this with your full attention and you're gonna bring the passion, or you're gonna kind of take the easy route,
right?
And just kind of you need to be yourself, but you also need to think about the way that kids are perceiving you when you're a teacher, mm-hmm. and what message you're kind of conveying about what's going to happen in the class.
Right, and everything that you're doing, you do it with some sort of intention, right?
Exactly, right? You really need to think about, it's not a very good term, but the optics, right? The optics of what you're doing. What does it look like to an outside person? Yeah.
So what you're talking about is more of like the delivery of how you communicate whatever it is.
Yeah, it's body language, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of the way that people communicate, you might be saying amazing things and you might be really saying like, we're going to do some really good work and stuff like that. But if your body language and the energy that you're bringing to the room doesn't convey that message as well, then people are going to get kind of those mixed signals like, okay, well, maybe we don't have to do too much work today. Mm-hmm. So I think that's what, it was great because Morgan gave me that feedback on that like very first day. She didn't say, oh no, your first day, it's just your first day, you're fine. You'll get better, right? No, it was like, that kind of set the tone for me, I think, from day one that, this is something to take seriously and I'm going to learn something every day. And that's kind of the mentality that I approached it with, carrying forward in my experiences. And it ended up working out pretty well for me. Like if you don't take a day off, especially when you're trying to learn and get better, you don't have time to be taking days off. Right? Yeah, that's what I found, is that every day is an opportunity to try something new and try to improve a skill. And if you want students to do that, you want your doctor to do that, then you as a teacher could also be the one modeling that.
Yeah. So how did this all start? If we were to rewind back to when you first had your thoughts about teaching, because it's, I kind of got into it because I couldn't do the other thing, and then I started thinking about, what am I good at? And looking back, and I pieced it together.
What was your other thing?
I've mentioned
curious.
this before, but
I've never heard. I don't remember.
He's a programmer.
No.
No.
Even though, like, I I always programmed when I was like a little kid. It was kind of a fun thing though. But my parents,
Yes.
this is a cultural thing. My parents wanted me
Doctor.
to be yes.
Yes.
So I never realized that I wanted to actually do teaching until it came down to like writing an essay and going, why do you want to be a doctor? And I couldn't write it. I just couldn't write it. It just went blank. I was like, maybe this is not for me. Like, I can't. I have to be honest with myself if I'm actually going to go for a career that, this is not something I want to do. Oh. So I'm just thinking back at all the daycare work that I did and all the tutoring I did, and it kind of came to me that, that's what I want to do. So what was it for you?
I would say that my pathway to teaching kind of started in grade 10. I wasn't one of those people who were kind of like grade 2 or 3, like, I want to be a teacher, right? Mm-hmm. That was never me. Like, all through high school, I didn't really like high school personally. Like, I think I was very typical in that I was kind of there just to be with my friends, and I kind of found the fun in every class, but I never really focused on the academics of it. And when I was in grade 10, I was playing like every sport imaginable, and I blew out my shoulder, and then I was like, and then I
Forte. Were you mouthing Forte physio again?
My husband has been
We're not on TV,
on
Nadia.
Justin for how long?
Yeah, I've been seeing Nadia's husband Kevin since I was in grade 8, so that was 10 years ago.
Right.
I probably spent like 20 grand there.
Yeah, best customer.
Literally. But no, I blew out my shoulder, and then I thought, I'll just get back into it, because what I wanted to do was I wanted to play sports. I wanted to go play field lacrosse at South Louisiana Christian Academy and, take John Deere tractor maintenance type courses, right? Like, who knows? Like, I don't know what would have happened.
A totally different life.
But like, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to play sports. I wanted to really take my game to the next level, and that was what I was focused on. I was a bit of a late bloomer with sports, so I was kind of just getting into it. And when I blew up my shoulder, I thought, I'll be fine. I'll get back into this. And then in Superfit, I was at Sand Secondary, and we were doing our 1-rep max testing. And it was like, who wants to demo the pec deck, right? So the pec deck is the one where you kind of go into like you're a bird with your arms out, you're like with your wings, and then you push as hard as you can, try to bring your hands together. And I ended up dislocating my shoulder after 6 months of rehab post-op, and it was in front of the whole class. And so I just started crying. I ran out of the room, and I had to go to the hospital to get it put back in. Wow. But that was kind of when I started to realize that maybe I would have to, you can't just be one-dimensional, right? Regardless of if you're an amazing athlete or you're great at writing tests or you love math or whatever, you can't be one-dimensional. You need to find multiple paths in life. And so that's when I really started to realize that maybe I'm going to have to think a little bit more about what I'm going to do for the next couple of years. And so going through high school, I don't know what I was interested in. I thought maybe, I'd move to Hawaii and work on the pineapple plantation there and be like a surfer, right? Just live like the kind of...
Nice.
That was like, maybe I'll do that, or, maybe I could be a construction worker and I'll make $30 an hour or $40 an hour or whatever down the road, and I'll be happy because I'll work 8 hours and I'll get to go home and do whatever I want. And so you have all those kind of ideas flashing through your mind, like, what am I going to do? And so you get to a point where, okay, I'm going to have to go to school. I'm not built for this, working with my hands all day and like hard labor or anything, or, going to Hawaii and living like a vagabond or whatever. But so I decided to go to Douglas College to do the physical education and coaching program because I love PE. Like, I love PE class. And so when I started at Douglas, it's all based around education. I was doing education courses. I was getting experience as a PE teacher at Lord Tweedsmuir, LA Matheson, and I still didn't know I wanted to be a teacher. I was doing all the classes for it and everything, but I didn't know that I wanted to be a teacher still. And I went through that. I did 2 years at Seaquam in the core program, which is for students with unique function, cognitively, behaviorally, physically. And when I really started to build those relationships with the kids, because I mean, in 1 year you can kind of, I was going once every week for a year doing the teaching at Lord Tweedsmuir and Alley Matheson, but I got to do 2 years at Seaquam, and I really realized that, you know, I like connecting with kids. Like, I like to be able to form those relationships and kind of impart build character with kids. And so I started coaching as well. And when I finished my degree at Douglas, I kind of thought, you know, maybe I could do teaching. Like, maybe I could be a teacher. I might be able to do this. And so I applied at SFU, and I started going to school at SFU. And that's when I kind of met you guys at Delview. And I had 5 weeks short practicum. And over the course of the short practicum, you do get a taste of what teaching is like. But I still, honestly, I still didn't know if I could do it forever, right? I probably worked, usually, when I was actually teaching, 10 to 12-hour days. And I was really kind of giving my all, but I was like, there's no balance here, right? This is not a sustainable kind of work ethic. And so how am I going to figure out how to do this? And so it was only really after, I would say, 3 weeks or so into my long practicum that just happened. So that was the middle of October of this year. I had gone through kind of, planning all these units, teaching them, assessing them. And I was still doing coaching, which I love, of course. But once I had gone through the actual day-to-day of teaching, and I'd found that time to kind of do my own thing as well, take care of myself, be with my friends and family while still teaching, and I was enjoying it. And, I was able to handle all the stressors that come with teaching. That's when I kind of realized that, I can do this. Not only can I do this, but I'm also interested in this, because I was finding kind of, with the science of teaching, the different methodologies and the ways that people do things, I find quite interesting. And so that's when I really knew that, okay, I want to be a teacher. This is going to work out for me.
Mm-hmm. So, I know a lot of people who talk about teaching, especially around times when there's a strike, right? And everybody's an expert, and everybody's telling me, well, maybe you guys should do this, or maybe this is happening. And from the outside, you can't know with any occupation or career. You don't know until you've actually stepped into it and have to deal with all the things that you have to deal with. And yeah, for sure, I think it took me a while before I figured it out. Especially my student teaching experience was very different from yours, because yours was, so great with two great teacher sponsors.
Yeah.
But really, mine was totally different, because it was totally hands off, and I didn't really figure it out then. And it wasn't for a while. And even after I started teaching, it took a while before I kind of got into the groove of things and figured things out. Because again, at that time, it was very much, you do your thing and then we'll do our thing. There's no collaboration. There's nothing like that. I was stealing resources from people and just running my own show. So I think even having taught for a while, it's only probably in the last couple of years where I finally felt really comfortable with what I was doing and how I was assessing and all these other things. So, as a career, it's very interesting that way.
I think with a lot of things too, it comes from the people that you're surrounded with. Mm-hmm. Right? You think about the community that is, especially here at Delview and in the Delta School District, kind of to an extent, is when you're surrounded with people who are kind of supporting your ideas and are kind of getting in a positive cycle with the way that you're communicating with them, and you're not kind of getting in that negative, that negative cycle that teachers can sometimes get into. Everyone needs to vent, and everyone, you always want to be realistic. You want to be honest to the way you're feeling. But when you're surrounded with people who are really supporting your ideas, I think in the way that your ideas are being supported here at Delview, that it makes it easier. It makes it easier to really follow what you're interested in.
So now that you're TOC, I guess you're waiting for your courses to be done before you're official, right?
Yeah, I have to get my actual certification from the TRB in order for it to be like legal for me to be in a classroom
By yourself.
by myself. Because I mean, they could call me now and I would go into the classroom and yeah, I'd probably be fine. But I guess the worst case scenario would be I would be in a classroom and I'm doing some science experiment and it blows a kid's head off, and then it turns out that I was never actually going to be an accredited teacher, and then that would be a whole issue, right? So.
I mean, I took a course on school law when I was doing my master degree, and I think all teachers should take that course because it really opens your eyes to all the potential legal issues and things that could happen on field trips, even at school, doing labs, just crazy stuff. And we studied a few cases where there's some interesting situations that you just take for granted. But just going back to what you were talking about earlier and how you got into teaching, were there, like, you mentioned a few different fantasy type of roles that you were going to play, like going to Hawaii and pineapple plantations and stuff like that. How close were you to actually doing some of that stuff?
I honestly don't know. I think you have this idea that I don't know if some people do, at least, that you're destined for something, right? You're destined for something in life. But I think that really it all it takes is a few events and decisions to really alter the course of what you're going to do. And so how close was I to actually going to Hawaii and doing that? Like, I don't know. And I think it came a lot with the friends that I was hanging out with. That was kind of what we envisioned for ourselves, was, not doing what everyone else was doing, not getting a 9-to-5 and not doing what the path was supposed to be laid out for us, right? Go to school, go to university, get a job, get a family, right? The things that pathway that seems kind of lame when you're 15, right? 16 years old. And what you really realize when you're young is that you can really do anything you want, but you need to find what's going to be how you're going to benefit society in some way, right? What is going to be your how are you going to impact the others around you? And although I didn't think about that stuff in high school, I think that, playing on team sports and stuff like that just really gave me that window into how you can build up others and how you can play on a team. And sorry, just to backtrack, I'll stay to your question. When I used to have these conversations with my mom, and hopefully she doesn't listen to this, but
she'll listen.
Oh God, she would say, "What are you gonna do? You gonna work minimum wage job for the rest of your life, right?" Like, when I wouldn't do my homework, or like I wouldn't study for the test in grade 11 or 12, and I'd be like, "Yeah, you know what? Like, I'll flip burgers. I don't care. Like, if I can make enough money to survive, like, that's great. I'll go home and I'll be able to hang out with my friends, blah blah blah, right?" So I think that's where that mentality kind of comes from. But what the cool thing I think about teaching and really finding a job that fits for you is that I can go be a surf bum if I want to, right? I have the summertime, I have spring break or Christmas break or whatever. Mm-hmm. I think I'm really looking forward to having that. Not only I have the intrinsic motivation to teach, but that extrinsic motivation where I'm going to have the time to go travel a bit, right? I came back I did a couple trips in Asia last year, and I'm really excited that I'm in a profession that not only can I apply myself to the job itself, but it's going to give me the ability to do what I want to do in traveling and surfing. I'm going to go to Hawaii. So I'm going to live my dreams, right? I'm going to live my dreams, but I'm also going to find a job that I love to do and that is going to be sustainable over the long term.
Now, plus, I think going and learning those new things and experiencing those things, or going after your passions, even though you're a teacher, you have that time to do it. it comes back to the classroom as well, because, your enthusiasm for learning new things and how people learn. And, I'm constantly, this sounds very nerdy, but when I'm on vacation, I'm still thinking about, this would be a good lab to do, or this would be a good project. We should do this.
Yeah.
And I'm constantly looking for stuff, maybe not consciously, but some things come up and I'm like,
2 in the morning sometimes, where you wake up with an idea. That happens to me.
No, when I go to sleep,
No,
I'm done,
I don't
but
sleep much.
Do you wake up in the morning?
I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm like, I gotta do this. And then I forget in the morning because I have a bad memory. But I think about it.
Have a pad of paper
I know
beside.
I should. Yeah.
Nadia has to write down everything.
I do.
Yeah.
I have to write. If I don't write it down, it doesn't happen.
Yeah, you should have an idea book. That's a great
I
idea.
should have an idea book.
Kevin,
Sure.
if you're listening, Christmas is coming up.
That's all she needs. Just a
Idea book.
blank piece of paper.
Yeah.
That's all she needs for
I
Christmas.
do. I know.
Yeah. So, there's a great quote from Chris Hadfield, and he just wrote an article, I think, that was put on First Class, where he said that, don't ask your kids what do you want to be when you grow up. Ask them what kind of problems they want to solve, and then they can go from there. Because real world problems. What are the things that you want to fix in the world? What are the things you want to? What issues you want to solve, and then think about what you want to do from that. Because if he asks little kids, sometimes it's like, I want to be a fireman or I want to be a cop, and it's for the wrong reasons. And then even in high school, there's some kids in my classes who say, yeah, I want to be a doctor. And from my experience, I'm like, is that your parents talking? Do you really know what a doctor's like? Because I know my sister's a doctor, and I know the type of lifestyle she lives. So I think you really need to get into a doctor's head and experience some of it at least, or ask people who are doctors and figure it out before you commit to it.
And I think that comes a lot from when you're a kid, you don't know what's out there, right? You don't know. Like, you think of, my girlfriend, she's going to study environmental toxicology, right? No one grows up thinking, I'm going to be an environmental toxicologist.
Yeah.
But it's really come from the fact that she is really passionate about the environment, but she's also very interested in human health and how our genetics influence our health and the way that chemicals interact with the human body. And so it's hard for when you're young to think about that sort of stuff. But as long as you have that kind of that mindset that, I'm going to take in perspectives of others, and I'm going to keep my eyes open to what my options are, you find your way to kind of, solve that problem that you're really interested in.
So what is it about teaching right now that makes you think that this is really what I want to do?
That it can be done better. I think that's what it is for me, right? Because there's so many cool things that are going on in the world, and I don't think they find their way into the classroom enough. And what I'm interested in right now is making things from the real world happen in school. And I've used this example before, but it's one thing that was really cool in high school, I thought, was our triathlon we do this mini triathlon, and you're training for it, you learn about the muscle groups, you learn about the way to exercise, and then you're actually working towards participating in this triathlon where you're going to be timed, there's going to be food at the end, it's an event, right? You're going to celebrate. And I think stuff like that is really powerful because it makes the learning real, right? There's actually going to be something at the end to do. And so that's, I think, what makes me interested about teaching is that I think there's a lot of potential in education. I think as a kid, I kind of was like, why do I have to go to school? Like, this is stupid, right? And that's fine, vision. You can have that. I'm sure lots of people have that perspective now. Talking to parents, a lot of parents have that idea as well. But if you can bring real world situations into the classroom and kind of bring them to life, bring those broader perspectives to life, then it's going to make education a really powerful tool for kids growing up. And that's what I want to try to keep looking into, is how can I bring together my passion for outdoors, for the environment, for PE, for nutrition, all these things that I've started to become interested in my life. How can I make them happen in the classroom and give kids that perspective? There's a job posting that just went up for North Van, and it's an outdoor education program, and it's going to combine every subject. It seems, because they're looking for a science specialist, a physical education specialist, a socials English person. And what are you going to do? You're going to go kayaking in Deep Cove. You're going to go rock climbing.
Wow.
Camping. Yeah, and like that's honestly, I think, like the dream, right? You're like, that would be like almost the dream.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm interested in learning more about.
Just have to move.
Just gotta move.
And keep moving. I think now's the right time for what you're talking about. I think there's a lot of talk now and support for kind of looking at your passions and figuring out what you want to teach, and building a course. Because if you look at the new curriculum, and I was just looking at it today, like beyond grade 10, or maybe even in grade 10, I know it's all in draft form, but you start seeing it being broken up into different modules almost. And I think one of the drafts for the science curriculum as well, even for senior science, there were different modules. So it's not just about taking a physics course. Maybe it's physics and the environment, or some other combination. And different things that are happening where teachers have the opportunity to team teach and combine different courses and do cross-curricular stuff. And so it's a good time for you if that's what you're interested in, because there's a lot more flexibility nowadays.
And I like the new curriculum because it's more focused on building skills, transferable skills. Because what I've kind of found is that it's not that beneficial to have a broad knowledge of a bunch of different things. Which is what a lot of university courses are built around, is having that really general knowledge and the ability to memorize things. But that's not really a real life skill. I mean, there are a set of things that you need to know for any profession or any job, but it's really the skills that you build through your training, and your ability to apply those skills to specific problems or to specific areas of knowledge, and to do the research and build whatever it is you need to build and really become an expert in that field. That's probably the most powerful skill that you can teach someone, is the ability to really apply yourself to a problem and come up with a solution or build the solution that you need. And I think that's what the new curriculum is kind of building us towards. And I think that's the direction that teaching is kind of going in, is how can we teach transferable skills so that people can solve whatever problem is that they want to solve, as opposed to, teaching a general understanding of a subject.
Mm-hmm. And much less emphasis on just content. Definitely. So let's we're nerding out about teaching right now. I'm just wondering, what are some things about you that we don't know, or hobbies that you partake in?
I'm an open book. No. I play a lot of fantasy sports.
Oh, really?
Like, as much as I nerd out about teaching, I'm just like, when I'm not doing like the teaching thing, I just I watch a lot of sports. I play fantasy sports. I just like to, watch TV. Like right now I'm watching Westworld. If you know that show.
Heard a lot.
No.
And so, yeah, I don't know if I'm not that interesting, but I want to travel. I'm trying to be more interesting.
Well, you have traveled a lot.
Yeah, I have. I've been to Indonesia and Vietnam and Cambodia.
And those are very, very different places from here.
Oh, so different. Like, if there's one thing that I could really recommend to someone is to, before you really set out down a pathway or down a career path, before you really lock yourself in somewhere to like a mortgage, is to go to other places in the world, even if it's just 6 hours south of the border, like down to Portland, or if you can get to South America or Asia, and just realize that I don't know how to explain it. When you're traveling, you just realize that you're just an extra in someone else's story, right? Yes, your story is important to you, but there's billions of people that are all living like very important lives, and you're really a product of your environment. Like you go to Asia, you go to Thailand, and you just have to be content with what you have. With people that are much poorer than we are here, you find value in family. You find value in food, and you treat tourists like a resource, right? And that's what you traveling to another place is. You are a resource for a lot of people, and I think there's something to be said about when you're just living in your own small circle of friends or in your own small group of people. You never really find the ability to take on other people's perspectives, and that's what traveling did for me. It gave me, or it improved that ability to put myself in other people's shoes, even those that have drastically different lives than I do, and understand where they're coming from. And once you kind of adapt that kind of view of other people, it makes it a lot easier to handle people who are like, don't do what you want them to do. Because I think that's why a lot of people get unhappy, is because people don't do what you want them to do. And when you're traveling, a million things can go wrong. Your bus will be late. The guy that you bought the ticket from said that this was the best price, and you actually spent like $5 US extra, and that's the amount of money you needed to get lunch tomorrow. And the tour you bought, you thought it was going to be amazing, and you only went to. It turns out they only go to this place if the water's high enough, and so you weren't able to go in the underground cave or whatever, right? So like all these things go wrong, and you need to learn to rely on yourself, and you need to learn to be happy even when everything's going wrong. And so traveling is super important, I think. It's not for everyone, but I think it's very important just to test yourself in that way.
Well, yeah, I think it's traveling and going to very different places is the best education you could get. Like, I know growing up, we did a ton of traveling with my parents. We got on the camper and we traveled all over North America, flew to Asia. But I always think of those times when we were in a different place and those problems happen and you sort it out, you somehow survive and get out of it. I mean, that's the best learning you can have, to be put in that uncomfortable situation, or even with in situations just that are culturally uncomfortable. It really opens your eyes to, there are other perspectives in the world besides your own. Because especially nowadays, it's so easy to create your own bubble, where you're in this kind of safe space. You can choose what news you subscribe to. You can choose the music that you want to hear. It's so easy just to have this echo chamber where everybody just agrees with you, or surround yourself with people who just agree with you. So to break out of that, then you start realizing that, there's a whole world out there, and there's lots of different perspectives and different ways of doing things besides yours. And especially as a teacher, that really helps me a lot, because I can be more empathetic to different situations. Because I was going through high school, I had a very good high school experience. I was I had high marks, I did well in school, and sometimes, earlier on in my career, it was very difficult for me to empathize with kids who didn't feel school was the greatest thing.
I think a lot of teachers that go into teaching, you did it because you were good at school.
Right.
Right? Because you found school, your set of skills and your way of thinking just worked for the school system. Right? And so you're like, I'll be a teacher because I can do this. Mm-hmm. And so you got to find the way to really connect with people who don't find it easy to do school.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in it. I didn't do any traveling when I was a kid. Yeah. My parents they immigrated. So it was just work, pay things off, no travel, no nothing. So, I got the work ethic down, but I never experienced all that stuff that you guys are talking about.
Your parents came from Italy?
Yeah, they both immigrated from Italy.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
And And then they had you.
They had my brother first.
Your brother.
He's 5 years older than I am. And then they had me. And that was it.
Yeah.
But we didn't go camping, and we didn't do the Disneyland. We didn't, because they were all about, just working hard, paying things off.
That's the lesson that you got.
That's the lesson that I got from my parents, for sure. Where I realized the importance of working hard and, trying to do things and doing them right or well, I should say. But my parents worked really hard, and I try and do that too. So they spoil my kids now. They get all the stuff, but it's just different. But yeah, so
yeah. Sometimes I have concerns about our students and where they come from, and it's always neat because we switched to 8 to 12 at our school many years ago, and it's cool to see them graduate and become their own person.
Yeah.
It's kind of neat to see that and have their own interests that are very unique. But yeah, we're such a product of our parents. Like, I knew I wanted to be a doctor until I found out I didn't want to be a doctor. And what are you talking about? I don't want to be a doctor. Well, it's so funny.
Yeah.
But would you do anything differently? Like, what would...
Like career-wise, or just
like
in general?
Well, you're saying you worked hard, right? And like you faced...
I followed the plan.
Follow the plan.
Good student in high school.
Yeah.
Played sports. Went to college. Then I went to university. Then I got a job, and then I got married, and then I had kids.
Yeah.
So we didn't do I never went to Indonesia and all that kind of stuff. I just checked off as I like to make lists and check things off. So that's what I did. But I knew I wanted to be a teacher. I started off in volunteering in elementary school, and I was like, this is not for me. I couldn't do it. So then I had to kind of refocus and take different courses because I was doing all my prereqs at college for elementary to get into elementary program. And I volunteered elementary school, and I was like, nope, can't do this. Couldn't do it all day with, little children all around. So I decided, well, let me try high school. And so I volunteered in high schools, and I really enjoyed the connection and the environment. So that's what I ended up doing.
That's what my parents always say, though. Like they never would have traveled, right? There's never enough money for that. And so I think it's just like we're so lucky, like growing up now, that we have kind of these opportunities. But
I don't know if it's personality though too, because I'm a homebody. I really enjoy staying, at home. But I don't know if I'm not the adventurous type. I'm afraid of heights.
Yeah.
I don't like any of that kind of stuff. So I don't know if I would even.
Even if you had like the
even if I had the
right?
exactly, like even if I had the opportunity to go to those places, I'm not necessarily sure if I would even.
And that's probably why it's good that we have that kids get like 8 teachers a year, right? Not just one teacher.
That's right. Different kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
You never know, though. Like my wife, she never camped. She never wanted to do camping. And then we took a trip to Yellowstone, and then after that, she's like, let's get a tent, and we're going to go to Utah for a couple of weeks and just camp the whole way. And so we camped for like 10 days, which was amazing. But I was super surprised because like she didn't have any impression of what camping was like. It was like, have you ever even stayed in a tent? No. She just, something just shifted when she saw what it might be like.
So my next trip should be to
go to Yellowstone.
Go to Yellowstone. I'm good with camping. Camping I can do.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. I don't like going on airplanes either. I'm afraid of airplanes
but
too.
You've been to Europe, right?
Yeah, I went to Europe before we had our kids because I said we need to go to Europe. I'm Italian. Like we got to go to. I was never been to Italy. My parents never took me to Italy when I was younger. So.
Where were they from?
My dad is half an hour from Venice, and my mom is from the south, near Calabria. So, yeah, 2 different parts of Italy.
So did you visit their
I did.
hometowns?
Yeah, I visited both, and that's a bit of a trek, north to south.
Yeah.
And we took a little dinky airplane, which was, oh my goodness.
Is that the Ryanair?
Yes, I think
Yeah.
it was. And that was just not, oh man, that was awful. And you have to shove everything in your bags because they charge you so much extra money for heavy luggages. So I didn't like flying. I don't like flying. So.
Those tiny airplanes when you have like a half a foot between you
Yeah.
and you and the chair in front of you.
Oh, yeah. Just
I remember we flew on an old Russian plane in Cuba, coming back from the east side of Cuba back to Havana so that we could fly home. And I have no problem with air travel, but that was scary. I was afraid for my life because I think even before that, I think there was one Russian plane from Cuba that actually crashed.
Oh,
so
goodness.
I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna make it. And the turbulence is just crazy on those small planes. So
Yeah.
So what's happening with you in the future? You've got your TOCing, and what's your future career goals? You want to get a full-time job, obviously, somewhere.
I think my TOCing, getting a full-time job, and I think like talking about that outdoor education job, finding somewhere that, if it's not an outdoor education, but somewhere that I can kind of get into more of an experiential type experience. I mean, I did a lot of environmental or outdoor programs in my undergrad, and I really want to be able to bring that experience to other people. And, other than that, I just want to hopefully gain 10 pounds and, win a game with the Delview boys. That would be great.
Oh, yeah.
That's the short, I guess more of a short-term goal.
Yeah. And I guess you're meeting the Delview boys in about 15 minutes, right?
Yeah, it's almost game time.
Awesome.
Almost game time.
All right. Well, thanks for visiting us today. And it's good to see you again. And it was such awesome news when you texted me and said you got your job. I was so happy for you. And I told the staff that we're in the staff room, and they were just overjoyed. So it's nice to have one of our own in our program graduate and then actually find a job, which is terrific. So
Yeah.
You have a great future ahead for sure.
Thank you. I mean, I really couldn't have done it without the Delview staff and the students. It's just,
Yeah.
I'm so thankful for the space that I was kind of dropped into.
Mm-hmm.
Like, two people that had never had student teachers before, and you two, and people in the staff who kind of had student teachers and didn't really like their student teachers, right? So it was great that I was able to not only be so supported from everyone here, but also to kind of give student teachers a good name and kind of bring that experience together.
Yeah, it worked out.
That's about, short story long, right?
It worked out. Yeah.
It worked out.
All right, thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.